And we're live. Welcome to the Gordox Pub, where nobody knows your name because we're not Cheers.
Or cheerleaders.
Okay. You don't know what I do on the weekend.
Well, I certainly hope you're not up top.
Oh, I'm on the top. I am on.
I certainly hope that they're not throwing you.
That'd be a sight.
That could hurt going up and coming down.
It could probably hurt just to watch. So,
Right.
Fun times. So you want to explain to the viewers, all of them, what you're trying to accomplish tonight?
No.
Okay. Sorry,
It's actually all over the titles. It's just gone your way out to the first page.
Which just, in case people show up.
And this time, unlike last time, I have a couple of references to go by.
You also have a better defined script. So, that should...
Well, yeah, I was just trying to lay out one panel and it wasn't working. So, now I have a better idea.
And
or at least I have an idea.
None of that is set in stone, man. I mean, if you need to change something up, like I saw different options and I put down what I would do, I guess, if I had your skill level. But I don't have your skill level, and I'm more than happy to say, oh, you want to do it in 3 panels, not 5? Okay. I don't care. So let me see if I can say this correctly. You're doing a border, and is that border then to help line up with the panel size and the page size? I'm doing my best Bob Ross here. Okay?
Yeah. Bob Ross or Bob Vila?
Bob Vila. What's up, Bob? I don't know. His real name is probably Robert. That's okay.
That's probably a pretty good guess. I don't know if I can line the damn ruler up anyway. It's not working for me tonight.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. Okay.
For anyone who might be viewing who wants to have this romantic notion of the creative process, let's disabuse you of that right now.
Yeah, right. So, anyone that thought this was going to be easy, yeah, that's something. Drawing's not necessarily hard. Drawing for comic books,
Not the same thing.
there's a lot of skill sets that are involved in drawing for comic books.
Well,
Yeah.
I would guess that a bunch of people would do this digitally, and you're doing it, manually, putting that love into it.
I think a lot of people that start they are not really drawing digitally. Like some of them are, it just depends, because like the digital stuff runs from expensive to inexpensive depending on how much you're going to put into it. But
Well, I was just thinking,
all
for framing
artists
out
that
a
I
page.
know of, all artists that I know of started drawing on paper anyway, right?
Right, but I mean, like when you're formatting the page,
So what I'm doing right now is it's not really formatting the page.
okay,
I guess it is and isn't. This is going to be a layout, so it's not going to be the page. I'm not drawing on 11 by 17. I'm drawing on a scaled down version, and to scale. This is a little bit off of scale, but usually to scale on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, you're a ½ inch in to do the 11, and then the 17 part of the scale is a ½ inch down from the top and the bottom. So basically what I'm doing is getting an idea of the panel size to tell the story according to the page that you gave me. And I'm looking at the page that you gave me, and there's a lot of stuff that you put in panel 1. And some of it's questioned, but
well, that's because I was trying to set up the background or give you ideas for the background.
right.
Which all of those are relatively just ideas. None of those things super matter. What's funny is, like, so I was, writing the panels and stuff, and if you had access, because you don't have access to the original. Like, I shared a copy, and then I downloaded it to Word, sent that to you. Well, I put that on Slack. I figured you'd find it somewhere. But on the original, if you were to go through the revision history, it's kind of funny because there's a whole bunch of stuff in there, or there's a whole bunch of stuff gone. Because I would start off with, like, maybe this is a woman, maybe this is a man, like, it doesn't really matter, but and I had this big long description of crap that it could be, and then I was trying to keep one page per page if I can, so then I had to go back through and revise.
Yeah, that's normally what you do, but if you go over onto another page, you put you space wherever it goes over onto the other page so that you can write at the bottom of the first one, continued on the next page or whatever, and then when you're done with that page, you skip and start fresh.
So anyway, I mean, every page got its own page. I was like, it's not like I'm paying for this paper. But it's just kind of funny. Just, I don't know, just the insecurities you can kind of watch as I type, and then watch it get solidified into this is what it is, because I don't have a lot of space, but I mean, there's a lot of stuff even there that's, I'm just like, none of this is all that important. Like, it's good visuals, but it doesn't have to be those particular visuals. So I saw a clip from Brandon Sanderson, and he was saying, and he says he has no real evidence of any of this. So this is pure conjecture on his part. So he was very upfront about that. But he said he thinks the reason why movies are failing right now, or Hollywood is failing right now, is because they used to have a method of people would go to the movies, they'd see trailers, and then they would get excited about those movies, and they would come back and see more movies. But since people aren't necessarily going to the movies as much because of COVID, even after the whole thing and everything, but they got in the habit of streaming things and whatnot. And he said that so now movies are having the same problem that books have had forever, wherein there's so much content, it's hard getting your product noticed. And I watched that, and I understand to some degree, like that could be a factor. But I personally don't think that's going to be the major factor with it, because movies that there are movies that did very, very well last year. There are a few of them, but I think that kind of shows you it's not the delivery method; it's the content itself hasn't been what people are wanting. The content has been what a small group has been wanting to push on people, and the larger majority are just tired of having it.
Well, Brandon Sanderson started off neutral, and then he started very rapidly leaning left. And because, he's pushed by Tor as their number one fantasy person,
yeah,
he's not going to rock that boat. So I don't know if it's that I feel it's not completely honest or whatever, but there's definitely some question as to whether there's an ulterior motive of why he's breaking it down that way. Because almost everyone that I know that's not leaning one way or another, believes that the resurgence of a male hero will be the bigger draw, and so far it's proven true that anything that's got that normal male adrenaline, that's the bigger seller. Because if you do a statistical analysis, more guys watch movies than women. So usually the women that watch movies, they're watching movies on a date. So it's rarely, and even if it's like a rom-com, it's rarely that women will go to the movies by themselves. And the ones that do, more often than not, have proven to be watching those movies that the guys normally would be watching. I don't know if that means something, you know what I mean, but what Brandon's saying is definitely not backed up by statistics. It's an assumption because he doesn't want to admit politics are killing the movies. Because to do so would threaten his own work, right?
Which is kind of funny because I haven't heard any news about TV adaptations or movies for his books yet. Maybe I'm just wrong. Or maybe that's what he's trying to get done. I don't know. I don't think it's I'm not going to, I guess, ascribe nefarious motives on his part. Anyway, I'm just going to say I think he's.
Well, I don't think that's nefarious to be looking out for your own interests. You know what I mean?
Right. I just think it might not be as Machiavellian. It could really just be he's a little blind to
I guess that's what I'm saying is I don't think it's Machiavellian because I don't think he's in it for some kind of control factor. I think he's not going to rock the boat. That's all, you know. He doesn't want to say anything that will get himself in trouble with the, you know, trouble finding crowd.
Right. I just think that, I mean, he might be thinking that far ahead, or it just might be that
the harpies of death.
He's his perspective is skewed, so he doesn't see the politics. Does that make sense? Like, he's being honest.
Oh no, he sees the politics. There's no way that he doesn't see the politics.
All right.
He's a Mormon. He knows Larry Correia, so there's no way that he knows Larry Correia and doesn't see the politics. He also knows Orson Scott Card. These are people that have been victims of the politics. So there's no way that he's oblivious to it.
Yeah.
But he's not a victim of the politics because he's playing that side. You know what I mean? And like I said, he went from being really completely neutral to leaning that direction. I'm not trying to, you know, that's not an attempt to in any way demean Brandon. I like his work for the most part. I mean, it's a little bit verbose for me, I guess, as I get older. I get less patient. Especially with huge volumes that don't have ends. And although he wrote the end of Robert Jordan's, he started a 10-volume series, but he's also writing like 3 other series as he's doing that. So my question is, will the prose suffer? Which, you know, I think you got to have either the prose suffer a little bit or he's not going to finish something. There's one thing or another, because you can't spend time perfecting the prose on any one of those books when he's writing 4 monster volumes a year or 2 monster volumes and 2 other novels. So nothing against Brandon, because some of Brandon's writing advice really changed the way I looked at writing and changed the way I write.
Right.
So I'm not going to say anything down about Brandon, but I do think that he's being very cautious in what he says, because it'll ultimately come back to bite him if he says something that's not in line with his publisher's thinking. Or, you know, the whole science fiction and fantasy writers of America went from being one ideal thing to something completely different. Originally, it was a group of writers that combined to make sure that writers had writers' rights. Where if a publisher really dissed a writer, then they could rely that all the rest of the writers in the science fiction and writers of America, science fiction and fantasy writers of America, they're going to not publish in their publication, right?
Yeah.
So there would be consequences. But now, the SFWA has a special part of it that's editors for these magazines. So what value do they have anymore when a lot of the membership that would be voting is the magazines that they would be voting to boycott?
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors that have changed recently when they started kicking the old guys out because they were old and white and said things like this editor was pretty and it was making the other writers' wives jealous, which was a fact, not not him demeaning the editor, because that editor wanted to be a writer and he was saying that she was very talented, but because she was pretty also, that the writers' wives were getting jealous. Well, that's a fact, and it's part of the story, and that's part of what really went on, right?
Yep.
But he actually got blackballed for writing an article about that. That was after that guy that was that whole infamous cover that they did for the Reddit or the Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers of America magazine, the bulletin or whatever. The cover was of a female warrior that was basically Red Sonja, and they were bitching about her having only like a metal bikini and all this other shit, and they were totally ignoring the fact that most representations of Conan, he's running around in the bare fur diaper. You know, their argument was pretty much moot because of that. But still, that was the excuse they used to start cleaning out anyone that had different thoughts. Well, Brandon's a member of the Science Fiction Writers of America. I know Orson Scott Card used to be, but I heard he let his membership lapse. It was a lifetime membership because they kicked out Mike Resnick. They kicked out Mike Resnick because of that, actually, and that was, to me, is ridiculous because Mike Resnick, I don't know if you know it or not, but Mike Resnick has helped more writers, more beginning science fiction writers on their journey than any other writer that I can think of. Like, he's right up there with Orson Scott Card.
Have you ever heard the term a clean writer?
Clean?
Yeah, clean.
Yeah, I've been told I was a clean writer.
Okay. Why are you a clean writer?
Why have I been told I was a clean writer? Because
yeah,
that's all I got to go by is what somebody told me. Because my first draft is a cleaner copy than a lot of first drafts.
Okay, so I was watching the video. I don't know, and again, I think it's our general policy, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if we don't like a writer or something, we don't say their names. If we,
right.
So we're going to follow that.
That's the writer structure that we don't say his name.
Right.
We avoided saying gender even for a while.
So when I say that this is an author, and I'm going to say her name because I have I've never read her stuff, so I don't even know if it's good. But I've watched her YouTube videos, and I just think it's some of what she says. I just find entertaining. It's just it. I mean, whatever. But also, she's self-published, and just looking at various other artists.
I got to ask a question because you mentioned that.
Okay.
Does that mean something to you?
What?
That she's self-published. Does that make a difference as far as being a writer or the credit you give them?
I watched her videos a lot like I would watch Brandon Sanderson's videos, in that to see what advice she had to give about self-publishing or writing in general. That's all.
No, I was just asking. I was just asking for I guess the sake of anyone else that may watch later.
So
I don't ascribe anything positive or negative to self-publish. It's just whether or not it's good or not to me.
Right. I'm only saying.
Anyway, I'll stop interrupting you now.
she's done well as a self-published writer. It's Jenna Morrissey or something like that. And it's like I guess it's a kind of a fantasy romance horror thing. I'm not exactly sure. Again, I haven't read it, but I should probably look it up. But I was watching one of her videos today.
Right.
She was going through and she mentioned clean writers. And I had never heard that term. So I was like, okay, what's this? And according to her, this is a well-known term. And I'm like, oh, it's news to me. I guess I learned something new today. That's cool. But a clean writer is someone who doesn't use sex or curse words or I guess gratuitous violence or something. And
so she's talking about morally.
Yeah, which she's not. She's 100% not that. She's like, she's dropping F-bombs on her stream and stuff. I mean, I'm not trying to say that she says she's a clean writer or she has anything against clean writers. It's not what I'm saying. I'm simply saying she mentioned the term, and I had never, it made sense, I guess.
The only thing I've ever heard about clean writer is, like I said, is like writing a pretty clean first draft, so you don't have to go back and do a lot for that first draft.
So it's kind of weird to hear that, but whatever. There's something, because normally, me, I don't like to put a lot of curse words in my writing. Not that I haven't used curse words before, but
because you're saying that,
okay.
It just leads me to go, I don't think you put them in there to be gratuitous. If you do, I think that's amateurish.
I would agree.
If you write, fuck just because you need to write that word and say that, you could write that or whatever, that's really amateurish. I think you'll agree that it depends on the character, what they write. I try to avoid using God's name in vain. And my characters do because I do, right? But if I was writing a character that I, really truly had to say it, it wouldn't really be very true of me to keep that out of his mouth, right?
Oh, I have no problem. I agree with Stephen King's example. I think he said something along the lines of, you're writing a blue-collar worker who's working on something and hits his thumb with the hammer, he's not going to go all pickles. No, you're right. However, you also can just say he cursed and be done with it and move on.
Exactly.
But I understand if you put it in there, it makes sense. I don't think you're going to get any shock value out of it.
Well,
I use the F word more than anyone else. That doesn't,
Right. I think that you need to be true to the character. That's it.
Well, yeah.
I don't think that you need to write F-bombs if you wouldn't naturally write an F-bomb.
Yep.
You can say he cursed, just like you can skip over somebody repeating direction. You know what I mean? You can just say he told her, right?
Right.
So that is one way of doing it. Unless it's a necessity, unless you want to write a character that's really, I guess, appalling, and it's not just, it's just part of his speech. you know, or or he's using it just to get to your character, you know. But that should be apparent when you're reading it. You know, it should be pretty obvious that not all the characters are going to just, you're not going to just use F bombs because you want to use F bombs. You're using F bombs because the character uses them, right?
Right, for the most part.
And like, yeah, like I avoid using them too if I can. However, like, I want to bring this up because it's a counterpoint that's just as valid. John Brown, who I admire as far as a writer goes and a teacher goes, he's a really inspired teacher. You know as well as I do that he gets really fired up and he gets you into it, and that's great. So I read his book Bad Penny. I actually bought Bad Penny and the sequel to it. The only issues that I've got are you got these escaped criminals from prison, and they're not using that kind of language. And any type of bad language is shucks type of language. You know what I mean?
No. I would rather.
He's not like. I'm using a vague. I'm being vague because I don't want to,
Right.
call out necessarily a prose. But it's just that it's hard to believe an escaped criminal is not going to say "you fucker" if he means "you fucker." You know.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things
in
where
jail, we're not known for watching their tongue.
I don't think you're going to notice the absence of it unless you put in placeholders that are going to make it obvious. So if I want to say, that
to a point, I mean,
I'm going to kill you versus I'm going to effing kill you.
Yeah, right. You don't need to throw in excess,
Right.
but if it's a natural part of their speech, natural part of their dialogue,
Oh, I agree.
or if you're specifically avoiding it and the audience can see it, that's just as bad as
Right.
writing it for no reason. I guess that's what I was saying. The counterpoint is that if you're avoiding it and replacing it with "oh shucks" or Jiminy Crickets, like,
Except for maybe in fantasy.
well, I don't think fantasy you're going to do "oh shucks" or Jiminy Cricket. You can replace the language.
Right.
You can use a word that doesn't exist. Like when they did Firefly, they did Mandarin when they were cursing. So
Yeah.
they got it past the TV censor, but
Right.
people that speak Mandarin knew exactly what they were saying.
Well, the cool part about that, though, is that also plays into the world building. So, they have the dominant English, but then they have, let's face it, Mandarin is spoken by more people currently.
Well, that's like Waterworld, where they were saying the language of the traders on the waters was Portuguese.
Okay. That's weird.
Cross between Portuguese and Greek.
Yeah, I get it.
But both of them were a type of seafaring nation. So yeah. Anyway, like I'm just saying, there's all kinds of ways, and just like you're saying, there's all kinds of ways to avoid it. You don't need to do it necessarily, but I don't think I've ever heard the term clean writer refer to someone who's not going to curse. And then what? They don't write sex scenes, they don't write curses, they don't write anything that could be morally ambiguous.
Right. I don't know. I thought it was kind of a weird term, and I thought...
I think that's kind of hard to buy. So by her standards, by that definition,
Yeah.
she's specifically talking about Christians and Mormons.
Probably.
You
I
know
don't
that.
know. I mean, not,
Well, anyone that's not a Christian pretty much don't care about language like that, right? Uh,
I don't want to make that as that quiet.
well, you know, like I don't know of any other religion that puts the same weight on it.
I don't know.
And I'm saying religion in general, not religion in like sub-religion or whatever.
All right. No, I mean,
Well, you're right. I mean, there might be like I don't know what Hindus or what is it Tenju?
yeah, that's one.
I don't know what their beliefs are so far as cursing, but I can't imagine with I think the Tenju they believe in 100 different spirits, and some of them 44 of them are good or something, and the rest are evil.
Okay.
So I don't know if they would be as concerned with expletives, but I don't know if they'd have the same expletive.
Right. Well, I don't know.
I think that would actually be depending on your milieu, because your one culture, like say a Hindu might consider a meat eater a curse, you know, saying meat eater.
Well, just to make sure I'm upfront and transparent, the video that I was watching, the point she on that section of the video, because she was kind of going through a list of, I think it's dumb things that writers say, and she's like, everyone says dumb stuff, so don't get, you know. But she's been on like book signing tours, and she's spoken to a lot of writers and helped other writers, and so she's heard a lot. And this is one of the things she'd heard. And her complaint with the clean writers was, if that's your only selling point, it's not much of a selling point. She would rather know about the story and, you know, is it a good story, not is it a clean story. She doesn't care. And
That's a good point.
I would say I side more with her on that than about anything else. So even as a parent, like I can let my kids read. Well, they're at an age now they can read whatever they want. But even when they were littler, if it was a, you know, like say of Mice and Men, it's got some bad language in it. Yeah, you know, drops the N-word quite a few times. And both my boys read it years ago because that's a good story and it's a good book to know. And the language, they're just going to have to deal with it. And I have friends who don't let their children listen to.
Hold on just a second, okay?
Okay.
This is relevant to what I'm working on.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if I've got an answer. Are you going to do dialogue?
This section I don't think needs it.
Okay.
Like the only dialogue is on the very last page. And you may decide to, again, I gave you 5 pages worth. But even on page 1, I recognize this could be done differently.
Well, here's why, and I'm telling you as well as the audience. If we're going to do dialogue, we need space to put word balloons.
Yeah.
So we need art that's either ambiguous so you can cover it up, or left space so that you can put word balloons in.
Well, I put captions on. Like there are captions on most of the pages.
Right. The captions are usually a little kind of corner box like this.
That's fine.
So as long as I'm underneath that corner box idea, that's fine. But if we're gonna have like if as these two characters are passing, he's gonna say something to her. You want that availability of putting the balloon, and if she's gonna respond, you want to have the space for two balloons because his needs to go on top,
Oh.
so that you can. It's the right reading order, top to bottom, right?
Right. That makes great sense. If I'm going to have dialogue, I'll put it right in there because I want you to know. Yeah, that space. You know more about the spacing than I do, but I was thinking about the spacing because I was like, all right, there's one caption box which was larger than the other ones, which I shrank it up even a little bit just because I was like, just thinking about spacing that might be on the page. So, yeah, if I want dialogue, I'm going to put it in there so that you know right off. And because part of what I'm relying on you for, and I call it pacing, but I don't know if it's really the right word. It might be spacing. Like I'm putting in panels that I think should be there to convey the story. But if you're like, no, I can do this. You wrote 5 panels. I can do this in 3. Okay.
Yeah. So if I'm condensing panels, it's only because it would be a more poignant picture to condense them. Like these 3 panels, that's because you have one panel that I felt that if I broke it down into 2 panels, like a blowing of the kiss.
Yeah.
I want that to be seen as a blowing of the kiss and blowing of the substance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it needed a little bit larger of a panel to do that.
Okay.
And so they're not just walking by and there's, a whole bunch of crowd and he blows him a kiss and there's some dust on it. You would never see all that with a big crowd, right? So if we go into like a closer up, like a medium close up of her, and a little bit more close up of him, kind of smiling in reaction, right?
Yep.
And then this panel being the one that is going to mimic that meme.
Okay.
See what I mean? Then it also leads you into the next page.
Right. When I was writing this, sometimes I feel like this is going to sound stupid, but it's the best analogy and explanation I got. So when I'm writing this, I feel like I'm writing down test answers, and if I don't get it in the right number of panels, that I'll be in trouble, which is stupid. But so I'm letting you know that I'm like,
you're still nervous about it, but you really don't have to be. We can talk and go, okay, this is. So you had a scene in mind, and I'm going to try to interpret that scene as best I can. But after reading the whole page, I can get a sense of what that page as a scene is.
Yes.
So I'll make just small tweaks, and you'll see what tweaks I make.
Right.
And then you'll be able to further adapt your writing style to fit what I'm seeing too.
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean, both of us are going to adapt to this process.
With this being the first one, it's one of those things where it's like, I'm trying to make everything work, and I want to make sure that you have all the freedom you need and all the direction you want, as much as I can, provide on both. So that's it.
Like, mainly, like, if I don't understand something, I'll ask.
Right.
And like, you and I are in contact with each other, which is different than a lot of teams. They're pretty much through the mail or email or whatever, but we're in contact with each other a lot more frequently. And not solely because that's what we have to do, right?
Right. It's because we get to, darn it. So, yeah. So you know that those scripts you shared with me that you got from. You're allowed to say that you got them from, right?
Yeah, Chuck Dixon.
Okay. I didn't want to be like Chuck Dixon emails you later on and was like, I told you to keep those secret.
No, because like, so me and Chuck Dixon aren't close friends or anything. I happened to see him online and asked him some advice about formatting, about how he formats or how he particularly writes, and I got a little bit of insight, and I got those examples to kind of further show his insight.
So
I just shared them with you because I knew that you were coming into it raw, so to speak, and
right. So
who better to use as an example, right?
Yeah. So I've been I'll have that up on one screen, and I'll have my document on the other screen, and you know, kind of looking back and forth. But some of the stuff was like, I mean, there were terms in there that I didn't know, or I didn't know the difference of, I guess, things like spread versus splash, because in my brain they were kind of synonymous. And so anyway, I was Googling, as one does, and I found a page that it was some school's webpage, and I probably should have remembered, and just to give them a shout out, but I guess I'll remember that next time. But yeah, it's just, I don't think it's as standardized as what some people, or at least what I thought it was, because I know script writing, at least the way I was taught script writing for, like actual scripts, is relatively formatted. And yeah, I just thought.
Yeah, well, movie scripts are different. They're different than comics scripts.
Oh, I know. I get it.
But I'm not just talking to you.
Okay. Sorry, I forget that sometimes.
There's more formatting to the movie scripts because they're standardized.
Yeah.
Comic scripts have forever been a matter of whichever publishing house they're in. But the DC offices, they had DC, and then they had Vertigo, and then they had these different kind of sub publications, and each one of those publications are a little bit different. So like Neil Gaiman coming in with his script writing, he lied about knowing how to script write and just kind of flew by the seat of his pants. And I actually can send you a copy of Alan Moore's book on writing comics before he decided that he wished he never wrote comics. Which is ironic because that's going to be what he's known for when he's dead.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Well, definitely. I mean, so comic book movies that are based on his work, right?
Right.
From Hell.
Yep.
The Watchmen.
Yeah, that's the big one.
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? And, V for Vendetta. So, that's what he's written for. And he's written, as far as comic books go, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is like, it's two graphic novels, really. And it's neither one of them is what you watch for the movie, which is ironic, which is why he gave his movie profit away to the artist, because he didn't want to be associated with it. How weird do you have to be to not want the Hollywood money? I mean, you've already got your name attached. You can't take that away. It's done.
See, that goes back to that same, like, if the movie is not the same as the comics, but it's based off of that world, sort of. I mean, it's clearly based off of his ideas, even if there are changes. And you always have the original. Like, you can go and look at the comic book. And then,
it is vastly different. Actually, From Hell is quite a bit different, too, because the characters in From Hell, the main investigator, which starts with an A. It was the real investigator for the crime. There was Ed Reed and I'm gonna have to look it up.
You want me to look it up for you?
Sometimes I'll figure it out as I'm looking it up, right?
All right.
And sometimes not. Yeah, right. Frederick Avalon.
Yep.
And Ed Reed's not in the movie, it's somebody else that's working with him. But Avalon was an older guy. And in the comic, he's got white hair, and Robbie Coltrane played Sergeant Peter Godley, but it was the co-investigator was Ed Reed. There's a pretty good English TV show, I think it's English, it's called Ripper Street, but it's based on Ed Reed and how investigations changed after the Ripper.
Yep.
And there's a premise, an underlying premise, that he thinks the Ripper kidnapped his daughter.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, and it's period flick, so it's, it's different than the From Hell
movie
graphic novel.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
So there's a whole lot different in the clues and the misleadings and what's going on in London and
I just don't understand well, I can to a certain degree, I guess, but so when a writer sells his story for a movie, if the writer is depending on where he is in his career, it can tank his book sales if the movie does badly enough. So I can kind of understand getting upset about that. But
I don't know if that's really true. I think that old adage, any publicity is good publicity.
Yeah.
So, like, if they know there's a book, then they may go and see if the book is better, and they ruin the movie,
Well, I'm just saying, I could see that as being a possible thing, and I could see that as being a thing you could get upset with. But at a certain point, that's really not going to affect you if the movie doesn't do well. Like, Stephen King does not have to have a movie made about his books for his books to sell, right?
No, he never did.
Right. Well, I mean, it helped, but it never really, yeah, you're right, never really needed to worry about it. And I like his philosophy about it, I guess, just that always go back to the original. So who cares? It's like watching a play, and they choose an actor. You want to necessarily have chosen for a part. That doesn't mean they've ruined the play. They just, you didn't like that one performance. Go watch a different performance. It'll be okay. Oh my God. My children are going to get killed, I think. Not for real. Okay? But, so, as we're talking and whatnot, I could leave, but I just texted. I said, if anyone's coming this way, I could use a beverage. And my wife texted, well, she's going to go to bed in 6 minutes. So she'll bring me up. And then one of my children said, bring me one too. I'm just like, I think you children are seriously lacking in the self-preservation department. Because that's the kind of thing that can annoy my wife rather quickly. It's like when she says, hey, I'm going to run to Walmart. Do you need anything? And my list becomes longer than her list. That's the kind of stuff that people get in the fights about. I'm looking at my watch. That's where I'm getting these messages. Okay. For a moment, I thought my other son asked for a pop too. And I thought, oh, Lord. Because then I'm thinking, she's going to blame me. And no, I'm not scared of my wife, but I don't want to upset her for no reason. So, in case anyone's watching, it's just like, what a simp. No, it's called, I love my wife, and I don't want to cause her undue stress.
Oh, if you're married, it's self-preservation.
That too.
Anyone that thinks that somehow makes you less of a man must think that if you're committed, you're less of a man.
Yeah.
Somebody show up and comment.
No. It's been kind of quiet. We had up to, I think, 3 people. But no comments. Oh, there was a guy I was watching when I was trying to figure out the OBS stuff, right? And I'm really bad at this whole, mentioning other videos and then not being able to tell you what the name of the video is. I should write them down if I'm going to bring them up. But anyway, he was saying he had this really good way of saying, if you like the content, give me a thumbs up. But if you don't like the content, put a thumbs down so I know not to do that again. He's like, it really does help me guide the channel towards what people are interested in. And I think that's the first time I've ever seen a YouTuber say, that if you want to put a thumbs down, please do, because it helps. Like most YouTubers just complain about people complaining, right?
Do you know that thumbs up or thumbs down gets you more views?
Yeah, I do. I understand that.
Thumbs down is just as just as good as a thumbs up as far as the algorithm goes.
Right, but
And
I'm
that's
saying,
what you want is you want to be in front of eyes. So yes, I know what you're saying, but what I'm saying is that there's an ulterior motive that wasn't mentioned in that, and that's
well,
that every time that he gets a thumbs up or thumbs down, it's good for him.
yeah, I knew that, but I've also watched a lot of YouTubers just complain about people complaining on their channel, and it's like, and I understand you're never going to please everybody, you know, so it's not like you're trying to please everybody, but if you see general trends,
I'd like to make this a welcoming atmosphere, but I'd like to make it a welcoming, playful atmosphere, you know, for the most part. But
yeah,
some days we just don't get that, right?
Right.
But it's not that we don't want it. Sometimes it takes somebody coming in, you know, from the outside to make comments that'll make it, you know, turn around.
I'm muting myself for a moment.
Oh, that figures. I had to step away for a second and grab something.
No, I really muted myself in case my wife said something like, I don't know, do you need to make a Captain PB or something stupid? Yes, babe, I know you're going to bed. I love you.
No, come fix it.
Oh, I gotta go. Be back in a minute.
Sorry. All right. Well, this should be interesting.
That was good YouTubing. Anyway.
Well, that part was pretty good. We covered each other. So, she blames it on you anyway?
No, but I'll put it in the private chat because she's gone to bed.
Okay.
Stuff.
You can say hi to Brett? Oh, come on. You can say hi anyway. He'll hear you. Hi.
Hi.
My name. My name. His birthday's tomorrow night.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Okay, so cupcake. He's gonna have cupcakes at school. And Five Guys. And he's gonna have Five Guys after school.
Awesome.
I'm going to. Okay, going. And his brother and his friend's gonna come.
Sounds like a fun time. I've only been to Five Guys once, I think.
Well, we've been a few times, but there's not really much for diners around us. We've got Applebee's, we've got like a Mexican place, we've got a couple of Chinese places, and then it's Five Guys and the regular McDonald's, you know, Burger King. We don't even have a Taco Bell in town. Well, we do. We have a Taco Bell and a KFC combined.
What's funny is Marion doesn't have a very large selection, but it has like two of almost everything. Like that's the weird part. Like, so we have two Taco Bells, We have 2 McDonald's. We've got, and it'll be like there's the north one, there's the south one. 2 Burger Kings. I think for a while we had 2 Dairy Queens and 2 Arby's. It was just like, how do you guys support this? It's not that big of a town. But
Well, we're like right on the county line.
yeah.
So where Five Guys isn't where we are. We live in Bath, and Five Guys is in Brunswick. And Brunswick has 2 sides of town, so they've got some double over there. And like we've got in Bath, we've got a Burger King and a McDonald's and a couple of Chinese places, and then we go over to the next town over, which is the next county, then there's Five Guys and Burger King and McDonald's and Arby's, and then it's really weird because if we go to the next town over from that, we're back in our own county, but in a different corner of it.
Yeah.
And we have a Smitty's, which is a movie theater that there's a restaurant in, and so it's just kind of, we have that kind of double thing too. Like as far as Dairy Queen goes, we don't have one in Bath. We have one over the bridge the other direction, but it's like just over a bridge. And then there's a Fielder's Choice in Brunswick, which is kind of like that, but only bigger. It's a bigger establishment. And I don't think they do the burgers and fries and stuff. And then you get into Topsom, which is the other town in our county, and they've got 2. So it's kind of the same thing. Like, unfortunately, gone like the dodo are the ways of small mom and pop restaurants and specialty restaurants like that. Which kind of sucks because when I was a kid, I really liked this place while I was living in Michigan called Mr. J's, and they did these like ham sandwiches that are on big French loaves or maybe big Italian loaves. I don't know which ones. It was big, and it was shaved ham, so like they filled it up. Nothing like that really here in Maine. It's totally different. And then when I was living, because I'm from New Jersey, Philadelphia is like right across the next state over.
Right.
So Philly cheesesteaks, and then we come up here and they got steak and cheeses, but it's not the same thing. That's like calling Domino's pizza. Yeah, it's more cardboard than pizza.
You know what I had for supper tonight?
Domino's?
Exactly.
That's what we had for supper tonight.
I don't know what.
Domino's. Eli wanted pizza, so she had a card that somebody had given us when we were in the hospital. So she used that to get him pizza. And I had a chicken parmesan. But because I'm from New Jersey, that shit's not real pizza. So I gotta qualify that. There's really 2 types of pizzas that are real pizzas. There is the New York pizza, which is New York, New Jersey, or whatever, and then there's the Chicago pizza, which is the deep dish pie.
Yeah.
One of them is like this thick.
Yeah, I know.
That's the New Jersey one. It's big and wide, but it's floppy as shit. But the taste is completely different than what they put into Domino's or what they put into Papa John's or any of that shit. And the Chicago deep dish pizzas are very different too. I just read the private chat. Okay.
This part reminds me of Hitman.
This reminds me of Cold Chamber. That's all Cold Chamber songs all sound like that. They all have that riff. This is the way it got to be.
Oh, yeah, although he's not here tonight yet, or whatever, but so today I got on my Kindle and I looked up that that book. Oh, what was dang it, I can't remember the name of what it was because I couldn't get it.
The Russian one.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Metro 2033. Yeah, looked it up. So I thought, why not? I mean, as long as it wasn't god awful expensive. Could not get the English version. I was like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. There is an English version. There are all these other versions, like Spanish and German, and all right. So then, why can't I get an English version? It's not like you run out. So it's a little confused by that, but I tried.
Well, you may not be able to get the English version because the rights reverted it.
All right. But I don't want to be pushing those right. I mean, it's one of those things that should be selling. I don't know.
Right, and we shouldn't have to worry about playing music that's got copyrights because we're not trying to claim it's ours or sell it. We'll actually be selling it for them.
Yeah.
I think I just violated the shit out of the rule of thirds.
Yeah.
Well, because, in the script, calls for them to be on the opposite sides, right?
Yeah. So I'm trying to
I was going to put him here, but I think that's a little farther back, and I also wanted to kind of line them up a little bit more across from each other.
Okay.
Now, for those that are tuning in, this is not drawing panels, it's planning out panels. But, like, I can definitely move them a little further, closer to each other. But that's the point of this panel, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I was talking about condensing panels, is that when I condense panels, if I can find a way to put this panel down a little bit closer here and then make it make sense to have that kiss bone, but I can't. So I want them to be almost touching here, right?
Okay.
So that it makes sense where they go from.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
From that far apart to this far apart. Actually, let me look at that. So that when I do run this panel, blow and kiss, I can maybe even have her hand coming up. By the way, I'm glad this is not 11 by 17 because I'll be able to draw bigger.
Alright, so, okay, hold on. I'm confused. Doesn't take a lot, but so we're at the beginning of this. You made your panels, right? And you were measuring stuff, and because you had to get it to the right ratio to what it would be on 11 by 17, right?
Right.
Okay. How? And what? does the ratio need to be super exact for this then?
It's the planning.
Right. And I mean but it's a rough.
It's a rough, but it's going to be like what I'm doing right now is just trying to get the positions right and
Right.
enough of the storytelling in there. I'll clean this up a little bit.
Okay.
But then I could technically, if I wanted to, I could blow this up and just trace over it if I really like, the way that the setting is looking.
Okay. Okay.
But there are other methods that I don't have to.
Okay.
There are methods where I could just draw one panel per piece and then could change that to fit whatever I'm, like shrink to fit or enlarge to fit whatever panel size I need it to be, right?
Right.
But the layout is seeing how everything works together. And part of this is going to be plotting contrasts too. So
Okay.
I want some lighter spots, some medium spots, some dark spots. I want, like in this panel, I want these two characters to be the most pronounced.
Yeah.
All the rest of them can be rough to a point. That's why a lot of them are in the distance or whatever. And I also was thinking about how I could do effects in there too. And after I draw all this stuff, I can take that white Posca that got all over my fingers and print it so that it looks like there's smoke coming out of it, so there's firecrackers going off or whatever.
Okay.
So yeah, I've given some thought to it, but no, I don't have to draw like one-to-one. It's not going to be one-to-one. What I'm doing is getting an idea spatially of where I want them to be for the storytelling part.
Okay.
And like this guy he's got a certain look. He's got a certain suit on. There's a couple over here that have a certain kind of suit on. There's a certain guy in a certain hat over here. If I keep those in the panel,
Right.
then there's consistency to the storytelling.
Right.
Right. You don't have to turn to follower until this panel. So it's like her blowing him a kiss, and it's going to be a certain size, and then I'm going to change the size because we want to vary the character sizes too.
Yeah.
I could do this a lot smaller, but the problem is that you wouldn't be able to identify the two characters that you're talking about.
Yeah.
So it's a question of what I'm saving versus what I'm you have to lose some you have to be able to identify the visual language, right? We have to be able to identify the characters, which I'm beginning to establish here, and then I'm going to establish a little bit more here. I'm going to come up with their exact, faces or whatever as I go, but right now I'm just trying to position them and get the size ratio. Like, I don't want them to be the same size, even though they're going to take up the same amount of panel, because I want this to be a closer shot than that.
Yeah.
So, I'm kind of working that out. Because as it goes from a little bit distance, then it goes to closer up, then it goes to close up, then it'll go to almost extreme close up, and then it'll back off a little bit. And then the next page, I'm going to have to be able to show an alley, right?
Right.
So for this page, I can do some close-ups, and it doesn't matter a whole lot whether or not it's an internal or external setting, because this one is just mostly the crowd, and you're talking about a celebration. So I've got kind of a little doorway or possible alleyway back here, just to remind myself, right?
Yep.
So all I'm doing is marking stuff out, and I don't know, just trying to get a layout, so an idea, and to figure out how to solidify what I'm going to solidify. I'm 11 by 17, so that's 7 inches bigger. So these panels are going to be bigger. These are just an idea for the layout.
Okay.
These heads should be smaller here, I guess.
Well, I mean, saying that, if anyone tunes in late, or whatever, if they think that you're working on a final piece or something, they would be wrong. And so every time you mention those things, it's also kind of like, in case someone comes into Twitch late or something, that we can.
We still inevitably do about the time that we're ready to shut down, right?
Yeah. Totally.
And that would be the dulcet sounds of my wife and her stepdog.
See, the problem with stepdog is that I would be like devastated when I had to give it back.
That's fine.
Well,
That's
that's probably going to be the problem still.
I got a key to our house anyway. It's okay.
But yeah, he lives right next door. There's like 2 driveways in between us. Literally, our yards are connected by a thin line of trees, and they're, very pruned. So,
Well, yeah, we took care of our neighbor's dog for a weekend once, and we would walk, we'd walk over to their porch, talk to them, interact pretty well, but I still hated giving the dog back because we didn't have one at the time.
yeah, I'm sure that's going to still be the same case, but that dog is like literally, she'll see it anytime she wants to. She has a key to the neighbor's house, and the neighbor will actually, when the neighbor's working, she'll walk the dog anyway or kick the dog out and give him snacks and let him go to the bathroom and let him run and all that stuff. So it's no different than just that he's not going to be coming home to us at night, which is a blessing for the cat. Huh?
So, yesterday, woke up and we didn't really have anything to eat in the house.
No, that's how we are, because we don't have any money.
Well, I had time and I had money, so I went and got McDonald's for
Lucky
breakfast.
you.
I know. I'm one of the privileged. But,
Yeah, you can eat.
yeah. I took the dog with me because, she loves car rides. And, I order my breakfast and I pay, and then I go up to the next window and she hands me my drink and she starts to say, "Can you pull forward?" But she stops when she sees the dog. And it's like, and she just goes, oh, never mind. Just, why don't you just brush yours? And, and so instead of having to, pull, I hate pulling forward and wait for your food. It's, I always feel like they're skipping you. So I was like, dog, you have definitely earned a treat when we get home.
Yeah, right.
My wife and son made this challenge to do a 5K every day in May. Now they're not
running?
Not exactly. Most, especially now. Now it's just walking, I think. But it's, yeah. I'm pretty certain it's just walking. I do it every once in a while with them, so I know it's walking then. But they've been taking the dog, and when they started, they were taking the dog every day, and my boy had to carry her home she'd just get too tired. And then she was having trouble kind of climbing up on the furniture and stuff, and I was like, I think we've got to cut back on how often you take her. You're walking too far for her. So now she's doing every other day, which works a lot better for her, even if she doesn't like it. But it's kind of funny. I've known academically humans can generally outwalk like just about anything. We're not the fastest creatures, but we can walk. And, the dog is obviously faster, but she tires out way faster than I do. I saw a video today that said that Tolkien did not like Dune, and they didn't like the more nuanced take on morality that Dune had. And then it went ahead and pointed out, the video pointed out that Tolkien was in World War One, Frank Herbert was in World War II. And
Really?
yeah.
Well, I didn't know that Frank Herbert was in a war, and I know quite a bit about him. I guess I should read the book, because I've got his kid's book based on him, Dreamer of Dune.
Yeah.
But I knew he was like an economist, and I knew he was
Yeah.
He was a park ranger in the colleges. He wasn't a completely he didn't have a degree in anything, but he was knowledgeable enough to be a voice that recommended stuff.
It's just making me want to.
Huh?
May end up losing my our one viewer.
Uh-oh. One.
Oh, now we have two. I oversteer. Oversteer, you recommended the Metro 2033, right? Well, Overseer, I'm sorry to say that I tried to get the English adaptation on my Kindle, and it said that it was not available. I could have it in Spanish or German or some other languages, but I could not get it in English. And that's pretty much all I can read. Like, I might be able to slog through in German, but I doubt it. Not anymore. Also, according to Wikipedia, Rich, Frank Herbert served in the U.S. Navy's Seabees.
Oh, he's a mechanic.
He was a photographer.
Well, Seabees are mechanics.
Okay. Construction Battalion. We're just learning all kinds of stuff today. No, that sucks. Overseer said that he got his copy of the book from the Book Depository, a cool online book site, but unfortunately they shut down last year. Well, I was trying for an e-copy. That's what I was on the Kindle, but I haven't looked for a hard copy yet. I'm just saying that there was no way I was going to be able to, like, I thought I was going to be able to read it some today, but then I couldn't. I couldn't get to it. So I haven't looked for a hard copy yet. I'll actually first check my library. Because, you know, you never know. The library might have it. Oh. Overseer, I don't know if that's a safe thing to do. Overseer said you'll need to scrounge around the back alleys of the internet. Like, oh, I'm going to be trafficked. Well, thanks, Overseer. You found one. Oh. Well, I don't want to ruin anyone's copyright. I mean, I should look for a hard copy. I can't get an electronic. I mean, if I can't buy the ebook, I'll check my public library, and if I can't get it there, I'll look at it and see how much it actually costs just to buy the hard copy. I don't want to take away the author. I mean, if it's good writing, whoever owns the rights to it should be getting some change for that. Yes, Overseer, I remember my mutant power. Why? Sorry. I don't think so, because I mean, if being in solitary confinement messes with them, then there must be a range, I suppose, and assuming barriers with various materials might affect it. So yeah, I don't think it could extend over the whole planet. I think it would have to be a lot smaller than that. Rich never said what his power would be, which leads me to believe he actually has one, and he has to keep it secret. Am I right, Rich?
You know how I feel about originality?
Oh God, that would be an absolute bitch. So, you know the mutant character Forge?
Yep.
And how if he can imagine it or whatever, he can make it. Oh God, can you imagine if you said that he could come up with so you have a character like that, but they can make everything they make is unique and never been done before. So then the artist would have to figure out. I mean, I guess the writers would too. But, what is it the person's going to make that's never been made? Oh, that would be a beast. Okay. Thanks, Oversteer.
What's that?
You're sharing a link to Metro. Yeah. So. Okay. Okay. Overseer said the deed is done, and also I might randomly disappear. Okay. I might randomly reappear. Overseer said, is Rich doing the script for the Draw This challenge? Oh, no.
I don't know. Like, I didn't write the script for it. I didn't write that script for the Draw This challenge last time. I wrote it for Batman for a friend that was looking to try to do a 3-page example so that he could submit it for approval from one of the bigger companies. That was based on Joe Quesada's 3-page story that got him his job working on comics. He did a 3-page Superman story that was pretty simple and didn't have any words, but pretty much covered all the aspects that the bigger comic publishers wanted to see your ability to draw. Like someone relaxed sitting and someone active and some emotional content, and so I did that basic 3-page panel with the same idea. 3-page panel, 3-page story, not panel. Although he eliminated the first page where Batman got the clue of Poison Ivy being there and where to go to find her. that was covered on the first page. And that's the cat.
Oversteer.
I'm going to pay attention to it.
Oh. Oversteer said I can draw static poses. Comics are a whole other level.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying, is that anyone that thinks this is easy stuff really has no experience with it. But so when you say you can draw static poses, I'm guessing that it's easier for you to draw established characters. It's hard to create a character and know what he looks like 360 and then be able to tell a story on top of that. If you haven't, then I'd suggest, and I suggest it to everybody who hasn't, to check out Will Eisner's 3 books on sequential art. Because Will Eisner existed before comic books, and he was doing comics before there was really anything like that. And he is seeing every aspect of the business as it formed. He knows and knew and gave a lot of information about those aspects of the business and why things are done the way they're done, why things were done the way they were done. So we actually were given, some assignments based on that to those who wanted to learn sequential art, but
Bye, Oversteer. He's leaving.
Well, never mind then.
Sorry.
Well, no, I was just saying that, like, when we did that in the David Finch server, everybody that wanted to learn sequential art, supposedly, once we gave them the things that would help them develop the tools to get employment in that gig,
Yeah.
they didn't want anything to do with doing that, So it's like, a lot of that's being able to draw expressions on faces and body expressions, like poses from the body that show excitement and exasperation, like, I guess they're kind of melodramatic poses, but that's storytelling, that's that language, you know what I mean? So when you understand, even if you're melodramatic with the body language, like this guy's throwing his arms way out wide, he's having fun and he's yelling, yeah, that's all that I need to do. This kid over here has got his hand up because he's calling to his friend. Because, little kids and adults, right? That's mentioned in it. So there's a little kid hiding behind these tires here. And the expressions on their face show, and the language of their body, like this guy's got his, the horns thrown up, like he's a headbanger or something. But yeah, he's got his arms thrown out there,
Overseer said, I like to mimic the poses I draw. So when I draw women, it's like, I'm assuming death, it's a skull. I think it's not, I really need my eyes checked. I was blown. No, it's a skull. I was right. Okay.
Well, I don't have quite the same feeling on the subject. But sometimes, it takes a little bit more work to get where you're going.
So, Overseer, you said you're still in school. Like, you got time to practice and hone.
Yeah, well, and that's what I was telling him is things that will help him practice. I'm assuming that it's a he. Did we ever establish that?
I don't think so. Overseer said, not going to lie, I don't know what the school means either. I was assuming death.
Or poison.
Yeah, I mean, kind of the same thing.
Well, one is danger and one is death.
Yeah.
Like danger of death, or you're just dead. Or the Jolly Rogers and they're just stealing your shit.
Oh. Overseer said, I'm in your equivalent of high school, but for us, it's called secondary or A levels.
Australia, right? Or New Zealand?
Sri Lanka, I thought.
Oh, yeah. So, I've talked to so many people from overseas that it's kind of hard to remember who's where anymore.
We're big in Sri Lanka, yeah. Yeah,
That's always that double entendre thing that we're big in China.
We follow the British curriculum, remnants of being colonized, I guess. We were colonized. And then we said, piss off.
Yeah, that's so ironic, though.
See you around school starting. Okay, bye. Bless you.
That was a cough, but thanks.
Oh, okay. Bless you anyway.
I will take all those I can get.
Okay, now was that a cough or sneeze?
Cough.
No blessings. All right.
Yeah, I'll take the blessing. Not like I'm all like, hey, you can't bless me.
You know the alien form on Resident Alien?
Yeah.
I thought that was a really good design.
Interesting, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's relatable enough. But like the extra arms tucked in kind of tight was kind of cool.
How much of it have you watched yet?
Uh, his his wife showed up, and we, which is kind of funny because she reminds me so much of one of my former students, who's a guy. But anyway, uh,
So, the guy he's impersonating.
uh, yeah, his wife. Yes, the impersonated's wife has shown up. I think it's a pleasant little show.
Yeah, I like it.
About the only thing that I have a problem with it actually is length. Like, I
Too
don't know.
short.
Yeah, too long. I'm like, do I really have time to sit down for that? It's one of those things. And the stupid part is I have the time. I just a lot of times when I start sitting around, I start thinking about all the things I could be doing, and then it's no longer enjoyable to be sitting around because I get guilty. So, you know.
Sounds like a happy cat. You okay?
Huh?
Did you cough or hit something?
I didn't do anything.
Yeah, something like something. Or I'm hearing ghosts. Ghosts in the audio. Oh my god.
What?
Nothing. I was. Nothing.
Okay, that was the weirdest thing ever. I swear my camera just zoomed in on me. And then zoomed out. For no apparent reason.
Well, that's the page.
Yes, it is.
It's just about that time, too.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
What?
Well, one I'm not worried about. Fall starts and getting everything right. Just getting the storytelling down. And as long as we've been trying to work on this or a project of this type,
Right.
and this is the first layout we've got. So instead of going with the T tattoos, I kind of did Day of the Dead teeth.
Right.
But I think that serves the purpose anyway.
Yep.
And then we've got 3 like stripes coming from her chin.
Yeah. That's it. Should work.
What's that?
I'd say it should work.
Well, that's really, that's the purpose of the layout anyway, is to make sure that it works. To make sure the storytelling works. These ones, they're so close up. Like this, some difference in size. She's bigger here than here, and he's bigger here than there. But I'm not as worried about the contrast in the figures as I am up here. So I've got to figure out.
Pull it down. Pull it down. There you go.
Here, well, I can do this too. Here, I'm going to figure out what the dark figures are that makes the lighter figures stand out, or vice versa. Same thing here, because the background doesn't have to be black.
Right.
It can be gray or whatever. Or if we were doing colors, it could be a color, but we need some contrast for readability. Otherwise, all of this kind of blends.
All right.
So now there's what? 3 captions on the first page?
Yeah, I think.
So you can add one, maybe.
Well, you added a panel.
There's one here,
so-
one here. Yeah, I added a panel, so you can go here and leave this and go here. It doesn't matter if you cut off a little bit of the top of his head, because kind of a simple hat earphone type thing.
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy that I've got something accomplished for the time that we put in today. That's what was kind of getting to me after a while. Is like we've done all these sketches and character sketches and whatever, and we haven't gotten anywhere. And I spent all that time finding references for the city, and we're not even we don't even need them for this part. The next page or two. See, I don't want to do the splash panel with what's going to happen with these, because on that third page that you've got written, there's at least three panels, and I'm fine with that. But if the splash panel could be the first panel with Mastif, so that'd be like a whole page would be Mastif. But it would be the background scenery of whatever, and maybe if there's somebody bringing him to the scene, or somebody around him in the scene, or talking to him in the scene that he's introduced, then those would be the other participants in that page, the other figures in the page. Just that the splash page should be impactful. And, just maybe a full force figure of Mastif doing his investigative dog pose. Might be the key.
All right. Well, I'm going to call it a night, man.
All right. So everyone that watched, thanks for watching. Everyone that liked or subscribed or followed, thanks for liking or subscribing or following. And even if you didn't like it, like Brett was saying earlier, if you don't like it, give us a thumbs down too, so that we know you don't like it, and maybe we'll find something else to do.
Something like that.
Well, it would be more than one thumbs down, but it'd be nice to see some kind of reaction or comment on what you feel or what you think of what you think. And other than that, good night. God bless. Much love.
Peace.